And now we'll go back into Lightroom. You should see it's going to take a little while to copy and import all of my files in. I am working with mostly raw images, but also some movie files, so this will take a while. I wanted to include some movie files so you could see how Lightroom handles them. You can't edit movies in Lightroom, but you can use Lightroom as kind of a tool to organize images and videos for you. So as this is populating, I'm going to minimize it so you can see what it looks like just on an organizational level. So now we have not just this Spring 2020 art photo file, we also have a capture archive. And it's telling me non-raw files were not converted to DNG. That's fine. This is what Lightroom just did, is it took all the files that I sort of just dumped at it, and it automatically organized them into folders by date. So for me, as a not naturally organized person, this is amazing. Generally, organizing by date for me works better than if I give something a session name, or if I give something a session name. You can also see that it's renamed all of my files with my last name and then the year, month, date, and then image number. So I'm going to close out of my catalog and reopen it just so we can double check that everything's looking good. You can see here that I'm navigating down to Spring 2020 art photo, and I'm just going to launch by double clicking that LRCAP file that we generated earlier. So it should only take a minute to open up, and it looks like everything's where I want it to be. I want to show you a little bit of how Lightroom works, because I think a lot of issues with Lightroom have to do with not understanding the way Lightroom thinks. So I can edit a lot of images really quickly in Lightroom. This won't be a great edit. I'll just go to the grid view. And this will involve using the develop module, which I will talk about more in a future video. But I can really quickly do something like, okay, I'm going to drag up the exposure, texture, vibrance, and then I can hit sync. I'm going to just check all. So I can have Lightroom apply the same uniform edits to a lot of images at once. One of the reasons this works so quickly is because what we're applying edits to are these reference JPEGs. Our catalog is just basically full of reference JPEGs. When you export something from Lightroom, it basically applies your edits like a recipe because it already has the instructions ready to go of how you'd like the images processed. So in order to work in Lightroom, you need to import everything in and export everything out. I'm going to reset to undo those edits, and then I'll just sync. So in order to show you why this can often be an issue for students, if I go into the capture archive, I'll just pick one of these early images. How about I go to my very first image chronologically, the first one in this December 3rd folder. What if I just move it out? And then how about I just delete it? So if I go back into Lightroom, I'm going to navigate over to this image, and you'll see there's a message saying this file could not be found. Also, I can see there's a little exclamation point hovering in the top corner, the top right corner here in my timeline. So Lightroom's saying, okay, I know how you want me to process this, but where's the actual raw large image that I'll be applying basically this recipe to? So I'm going to click on the exclamation point, and I can hit locate. So in this case, I'm going to go to desktop, tell it, okay, here's where I put the file, and then hit select. And it normally takes a minute, but you can see my exclamation point is already gone. And Lightroom knows where my source file is at this point. That's probably the wrong place for it to be because, again, I want my Lightroom catalog and my capture archive to be in the same place. So I'm going to put it back in. If I were to go in and delete this image or the image we copied onto the desktop off the desktop, which I just did, you'll see the exclamation point reappears. I need to say locate where it is. And from here, I'll again just go to my external hard drive. I'll go to our capture archive. And again, it'll take a minute, but Lightroom's figured itself out. So that's the basics of how to set up a catalog and how Lightroom works. In future videos, I'll talk about how to organize images within the library module. After that, we'll talk about how to use the develop module. Thanks everyone, good luck.